and I am the founder of Invisible Illness Awareness Week. So you can imagine my joy that you're here with us today. And I'm so glad that you have found the time and the energy to come on over and join us for Invisible Illness Awareness Week. Now, you may be here during September, or you may be here during another month because all of our things will be archived this year. But either way, I know that you'll find a lot of helpful resources, some great information, and some really caring people with a lot of heart here at Invisible Illness Awareness Week. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you a little bit about Invisible Illness Awareness Week. It's quite a mouthful. And what you can hope to find here. First of all, I want to let you know that we do have some little goodies for you. Now, when you go to a conference, you usually get a little goodie bag as soon as you register. So just because you're here at a virtual conference doesn't mean you should miss out on those goodies. So if you go to invisibleillnessconference.com, that is going to be your headquarters for everything conference related. That's where you'll be able to find a time zone converter, our goodie bags, and all the links to the speakers and their presentations, and the schedule as well. So that's the website. Invisible Illness Conference is the exact link to everything virtual conference. Now, there is invisibleillnessweek.com, and that's where everything else will be. So there's a lot of bloggers and exciting things going on there. So don't forget to check out the rest. But for a shortcut, when you just want to get to the conference stuff, it's invisibleillnessconference.com. Now, here's some things you'll find in your goodie bag. Our theme this year is Invisible Illness, Show Us Your Visible Hope. So we've come up with a few reminders here for you just to be able to print out. This one is a cute little desk topper, and you just print this out and fold it together and tape it. And it says, "What gives me hope?" This is something when you're listening to the speakers this week, remember what it is that gives you hope. Some of our speakers will talk about working. Perhaps that might be working for a paid position, or it might be working as a volunteer, or just finding where to plug in life. Tiffany's going to be speaking about finding your identity. Who are you now? So some of those things will be about what things bring you joy, what things bring you hope, what used to bring you hope and you're not able to do it anymore, and how can you adapt that. So feel free to fill out this now when you download it, or you can do it later and do it when something hits you. I put a scripture on here, Proverbs 23:18. There is surely a hope and a future for you, and your hope will not be cut off. And that's just something I'd like for you to remember this week. No matter how bad things seem, your hope will not be cut off. And there is a future and a hope for you. Now, other things you'll find in there, a nice little introductory letter from me, which unfortunately is not my handwriting, but I tried to make it look cute. So you can find that. There are some inspirational quotes. These you can print out and cut out and do whatever you'd like with. Frame them in a 5x7 frame, stick them on your wall, stick them on your bathroom mirror, whatever it is. And those are some things to remember hope. We've got some cute little notepad paper. I haven't cut mine in half yet, but this is something you can have to keep notes on as the different speakers are sharing. And we have a schedule. So I know we have a schedule at invisibleillnessconference.com, but if you're like me, you're in the kitchen, getting some grapes or something, all of a sudden you think, oh my gosh, there was something I was supposed to be doing. This is where to put that. Wherever you might be doing something and forgetting that there is a seminar starting. Now, all of our seminars, like I mentioned before, are archived. So if you miss it, it's okay. You can start anytime. You don't have to be there right on the dot. But there is kind of a sense of community, knowing we're all in it together. And our speakers will be checking back in to see the comments you've left, questions, what they covered that you didn't quite understand, whatever it is, they'll be checking in with that. So, and the other thing in there is a coupon, which we all love coupons, right? I don't know if you're aware of it, but Rest Ministries is a Christian organization, and we are the ones that sponsored Visible Illness Week, and we don't receive any funding at all for this. We basically do this on the efforts of our volunteers and myself. I've spent 3 weeks working night and day on this, and all summer working on Visible Illness Week, recording and editing and promoting, and you all out there have been an incredible help and I could not have done it without you. But on the other hand, it does take a lot of money and a lot of effort to get this out there. And so if you're able to run by our bookstore, illnessbooks.com, and make a purchase, we'd be happy to give you $5 off, and it will help us be able to continue to do this. So those are just a few of the goodies that you will find. Now we also will have a USB flash drive coming soon by October. I don't even have the prototype yet today, but I have a picture that will be online soon, and it's a little USB drive with the Invisible Illness Week logo. It's really cute, and it will have all of the audio clips in MP3 files of the seminars that you will hear this week. So that might be something to put on your wish list. It's a great way to be able to have all of those accessible to you. You can listen to them on a device, or you can upload them to your MP3 player and listen to them whether you're laying in bed at the hospital or out walking in the winter, autumn weather trying to keep your mind busy. So be sure to watch for that in our upcoming emails. Now, some people have asked me why I do this. Why do I spend all this time when there's really no profit for it financially? It takes up a lot of energy and a lot of effort. Right now, I can barely move my hands because I've been on the computer too long. I've been icing them and putting pain gel on them and pain patches and everything. And to be honest with you, I'm exhausted. So I'm excited this week is starting. On the other hand, it does take a lot of effort from myself and all the people that are involved. And so why do we do this? Well, because we care, to be honest. I know you may be watching this and feel like you've got it all together. You don't really have a big need for this right now. On the other hand, there may be one or more areas in your life where you're just really struggling. And maybe you're doing great as a parent, but you feel like your marriage is just kind of there. Not much is happening. Or maybe you feel like your marriage is doing great, but you just don't know if you can keep doing this working thing and balance that and your spouse and your illness on top of it. I saw a lot of people struggling, and when I first began my organization in 1996, I saw a lot of people who had a very firm grip on who they were, even with a chronic illness. But the part that kept coming up that I noticed was a lot of bitterness. People are just exhausted emotionally, trying to defend that they really were ill. They were tired of people asking them, well, when are you going back to work? You look fine. Or, you know, that infection will clear up in a day or two. I wouldn't really worry about it. Or people that say things like, you know, if I was at the doctor as much as you are, I'd be sick too. Or how about things like, you know, all those doctors want is your money. If you would just go to the chiropractor, I'm sure he'd fix you right up. Or I've heard this one, you know, if you don't want to try this water I'm selling, just tell me, but it's obvious you don't really want to get well, or you'd give it a shot. Now, there's all kinds of different things we hear, and we can definitely go on the defensive with them. On the other hand, it can really creep in to our own lives, to our heart, to our relationships. We can become frustrated, bitter, resentful, and we don't trust people anymore. Those are some of the things I saw in people around me who I thought really had it all together, and yet, frankly, they were really hurting in some different areas of their life. So as I looked around, it didn't really seem to matter what disease people were actually suffering from, because their experiences were pretty much the same. They were all being told, oh, but you look so good, or you look fine, or you don't look sick to me, or oh, you know, a little walk will do you some good. They were all in those same shoes. And so as I looked around, I decided that we would bring those people together who dealt with an invisible illness. Now, over the years, you know, I've gone from having an invisible illness to it's a little bit more visible. But I still look like a pretty healthy person compared to what people would expect an ill person might look like. And so I decided that this would be an opportunity for us to share our stories, to validate each other, to acknowledge, yes, those feelings are normal. Yes, those feelings do occur. I've been told that too, and we're in it together. Now, if you've ever been on the receiving end of something that really stung, like someone said, oh, you know, if you would just pray harder, I'm sure God would heal you. Or something like, it's probably because you just don't know how to deal with stress very well. Most illness is caused by stress. Now, if you've been on the receiving end of one of those, you know how much it hurts. And you're in the position to help comfort someone else. And when we see those things listed on the internet as a top 10 list of things not to say to someone who lives with a chronic illness, then it kind of takes a little bit of the sting out of it. Because we know that if millions of people who live with invisible diseases are being told these same things, then maybe it's not necessarily true of our circumstance. Maybe it's just something people say. Maybe it's just a cliched response to how someone reacts when they see someone they love hurting or in pain. And so it helps to bring these out into the open. Now, some people would say, oh, you shouldn't sit around and talk about your illness. The last thing you need to be doing is going to some virtual conference online and focusing on your illness all week. How is that going to help you? If you just got out of the house a little more often and stopped thinking about your illness all the time, then maybe it would just get a little bit better, right? Well, I have to agree that we can't sit around and talk about our illness and focus on our illness all the time, because that doesn't really make us feel any better. And it certainly doesn't make those around us feel any better. And it puts us back into that helpless victim role. What we need to be doing is taking control of our attitude and understanding what it is that gives us those feelings, dealing with them, and then going back out into the world. So this conference this week is a time for you to retreat in a little bit, whether it's into the spot under your blanket with your puppy dog sitting there with a computer on your lap, or whether it's in your office at home, or sitting on the iPad in bed, perhaps, or even at a hospital. You get the opportunity to retreat in and find refreshment. Because years ago, I dreamed about having a conference for people who lived with chronic illness. And I still have good plans, I have to tell you. I would have these special vans that would meet them at the airport and bring them to the hotel. And I would have goodie bags, let me tell you, with so many fun things in them. One of the things I would have in our goodie bag are those little door hangers you put outside your hotel room that say, please do not disturb. But I would have them with a little person with insomnia or something on it that said, please do disturb. So if you woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't sleep, you could just wander the hallway and find another person going to the conference that was awake too and have a pajama party. Well, that may or may not ever happen, because for us with chronic illness, traveling can be very difficult. And we all know those beds at hotels are not that comfortable, no matter how many extra mattress pads it may say it has. So this is an opportunity this week for you to take time out for yourself and to hook up with not only other people who live with chronic illness, but some real leaders and experts in the field. People like Rosalind Joffe, who is a career chronic illness coach. She helps people find out what they can do, what they'd like to do for work, if they'd still like to work with their illness, how to get to that place. Jill Hart, actually, is a stay-at-home mom that works at home, and she'll be talking about that. We also have some amazing guest experts who talk about relationships. Arlene Pelican will talk about marriage and about how to become a healthier you. Pam Farrell's going to talk about communication in your marriage and how that can make an impact. Georgia Schaefer's going to take a moment to talk about your personality styles and how that impacts all of the relationships around you, from your child to your loved ones to your friends to even your doctor. Leslie Vernick's going to talk about how not to have destructive relationships and to take a moment to see if maybe the relationships you are in are destructive and what you can do about them. Now, we have some great speakers here this week, and this is a chance that you won't probably have in some time to go to a conference where you'd have to get on an airplane and travel, stay overnight, spend thousands of dollars, and be able to get this level of experts and people who just understand living with illness all in one place. So this is my gift to you, and I hope you enjoy it, because it's been a joy for me to do. Even on those days when I get up and think, oh, I don't know if I can do this today, Or, oh my goodness, there's no way I can do an interview at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. Somehow I put one foot in front of the other. And there are days it doesn't happen. It's not always mind over matter. But on most days, if I'm able to just keep going one step at a time, the joy that comes out of being able to do something like this is astronomical. I hope that when this conference is over at the end of the week, and I'll be touching base with you again then in our last seminar at 5 o'clock Pacific time on Friday. I hope that when you turn off your computer on Friday night at 6 o'clock, you can sit back and say, wow, I've got some real things that I need to think about. I've got some tips that I didn't know would help me. I've got questions going through my brain about what I can and can't do. I have to spend a moment to sit down and figure out who I am with this disease and what I can do with it. What can God do with it? Now, I know that there's some of you out there who do not believe in the God that I believe in, and that's okay. We welcome you here. Some of our speakers will mention God because that's their foundation for their life and their hope and their faith, and that's what gets them through it. Now, if that's not what you believe in, I hope that you'll stick around and that you'll still be able to gain a lot of wisdom from what they share, because many of them are counselors, doctors, and such, and have a lot of information they really want to share with you. But when it all comes down to it, my hope is that by Friday night, you will say, my hope will not be cut off. Just like the verse in Proverbs says, my hope will not be cut off. I'm going to claim this hope, and I'm going to find what God wants me to do with this illness in my life. Because this is not the end of my life. This is just the beginning of a new journey that I wasn't expecting. Now, just some quick instructions. Every day at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m., which is noon, 3 p.m. Pacific, and a few days at 5 p.m. Pacific, there will be a seminar. These will be all linked to the page InvisibleIllnessConference.com. So when you go to Invisible Illness Conference, scroll to the seminar you'd like to listen to at the appointed time, and that webpage should appear with the video in it. Now, unfortunately, I don't have control over how fast that video streams or how well your internet connection may be working. Sometimes it's best to sit and let it load for a few minutes and then hit the play button. If it seems to be constantly playing a couple seconds and then pausing and reloading and then playing and then reloading, just go ahead and hit the pause button, and you'll see a little gray bar at the bottom that's, I think it's called like scrubbing maybe or something. Basically, it's loading the video, and then you should have an easier time watching it. Now, if all else fails, we will have audio clips of the entire seminar on that same page. So it's an MP3 file, and most computers will just open that right up and start playing it. If you don't have any volume for video audio, be sure to check your volume settings on your computer. I can assure you that everything will be working on our end unless I tell you otherwise. So if there's any problem, you can see that on the webpage where the seminar is. Otherwise, know that it is playing correctly, and if something's going wrong, it's on your end. And since I am the only tech person here available, and I would not consider myself a tech person, although I'm happy to get your questions, they might more quickly be answered if you ask the closest teenager, whether that's a neighbor, a friend, a child of your own, whatever it is, a grandchild. Teenagers seem to know 5 top things to try quickly, and they'll probably be able to quickly resolve it. All of our videos, just so you know, again, will be archived, so you can watch them at any time, or you can watch those that you believe will be your favorites and then go back and listen to the others at another time. And all of our speakers have donated their time and done all of this without charging me a dime. So at the end of each video, you will see their information to contact them, their website, and most of them do have books Almost all of them have a lot of information on their website with handouts and things that you can find helpful. So there's a lot of stuff there for free, but all of these speakers I highly recommend, and I can say without even thinking twice about it, all of their books and resources are exceptional. So those will definitely come in handy if you like what you hear during the seminar. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I'm excited that we're going to be kicking off our next seminar in just a few minutes with Wayne and Sherry Cannell, who will be discussing what to say, what not to say, and how to help a person who lives with a chronic illness. Now, I know many of you have a chronic illness yourself, but trust me, if you related to some of the things that I just said about what people say and do or don't say and do, you're going to love this couple. They are the founders of the Invisible Disabilities Association, and they have some wonderful resources, and they're just a fun couple to sit back and listen to chat about the daily things that go on in their lives and how they cope with that. So I hope you enjoy the time with us this week. Thank you so much.